This is Newcap News with Lauren Poland.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us. Moses, as we saw, the Border Kings are on a roll, but they're playing an old rival. I guess you said it was the last team that they lost against, right?
Yep. December 18th was the exact date they took on the Sylvan Lake Admirals, and boy, oh boy, it's been a long stretch since. Like you were saying, they've been on fire of late, and a good way to enter the playoffs. We'll have a bit more of that and more in sports coming up, and it should be a good one.
Yeah.
Looks like it. Gerard, another beautiful day.
Yeah, no reason to complain about it at all. The wind chill values went from the mid-teens and down to about a -3, well, up to about a -3 eventually. Then not a factor to be considered at all. In fact, in Cold Lake area, the only reason their temperature, I think, didn't get any higher was because they had some wind coming out of the north. But across the region for the better part of the day,
pretty good.
Most of the winds southerly heading. Let's see what we got here, people. I tell you what, southeast at 5. So it's calming off. The wind chill value has picked on back up in the last 40 minutes or so, and we're seeing a reading of -1, down from a high today at 2 o'clock of 1 degree. So we've cleared off nicely, and we'll across the region though for Cold Lake and area build up of some clouds, so they'll probably sustain that 0 reading for some time. Battleford's getting to 4 today, would you believe, a hot 4. And across the region we're clearing off. There's no precipitation major in the forecast for later on, but details are coming up shortly.
On the heels of a province-wide PC tour, the Wildrose Alliance is also making its way across Alberta. Danielle Smith has a jam-packed schedule, visiting 10 constituencies in just 4 days. As Clayton Brown explains, the leader made a pit stop in St. Paul, unveiling a new candidate for the riding.
Over 300 people filled the hall in St. Paul in support of Danielle Smith and the Wildrose Party. But the big news came earlier in the day when she released her party's plans to lower power bills.
If you don't turn your lights on at all in a given month, you will still have a power bill of $50 or $60. And that's because of transmission costs, distribution costs, administrative costs, and all of the other additional costs that are on there. We want to make sure that we don't see that part of the bill escalate.
The party's plan is outlined by some key points which Smith believes will tackle the growing concern with Albertan families.
We've called for the repeal of Bill 50. It's why we think that power generators should share in the cost of future construction of transmission lines. And we also want to see if we can get back to hedging on our regulated rate options.
Smith also addressed the Tories task force, which stopped in communities across Alberta in January looking to get input on landowners' rights, by saying there's a big credibility problem.
I think what we're seeing with this government is that they recognize that landowners are upset about these bills. They want to look as if they're doing something about it, but I think that we're not going to see any real decision making.
Just recently, Bonnyville Cold Lake Wildrose candidate Chuck Fair stepped down due to personal reasons. So last night, Smith announced Roy Denanko as the new replacement.
He was the Chief Administrative Officer of the MD of Bonnyville for a number of years. He's lived in the community for, I believe, over 30 years, and he's agreed to step in as our candidate in that area.
In St. Paul, Clayton Brown, Newcap News.
Construction is a go for the new Infrastructure Operations Center in the border city. And as Elise Cox explains, a lot of planning has gone into the $40 million addition.
The current Public Works Yard was built in the 1960s on 10 acres of land, and as the city expands, a new 26-acre yard has been approved by City Council to meet the demand of the city.
We have a large project. We're building a new, what we call public workshop, but we've given it a fancy name because it has many more things in it.
The new buildings will house City Public Works, fleet and maintenance, engineering, operations, and other city services. Adam Holmes from Infrastructure Services strongly believes this addition will better the community.
Bringing all these diverse teams into one building under one roof should help increase communication and innovation, hopefully increase employee dedication, and that will all come out in better service for our community.
Construction starts this spring. The center is budgeted for $40 million, but the high cost was justified by City Council.
So over the last 4 decades, we've grown at 4%. So when we started discussing this building with council, they directed us to build it out for 20 years. So in 20 years' time, the city should be approximately 60,000 people. So with that build, there was obviously an increase in cost.
The new facilities will last 20 years, but expansion areas that aren't going to be built on now, but built in the future, will allow the site to last the city about 50 years.
The plans are done, they're ready to go, where the construction manager will be the one who will tender the first tendered contracts.
Tender contracts will start rolling out within the next 2 months. Elise Cox, Newcap News.
It's all or nothing. That, according to a U of A professor when talking about exercise. As Mike Baden explains, Timothy Caulfield published some discouraging news in his new book that moderation may not be the way to get that beach bod you really want.
The term "everything is good in moderation" might not be true. Professor Timothy Caulfield has said that a strict diet and exercise routine is crucial, but not having high expectations is the most important part.
All of fitness and diet, all the fitness and diet industry is focused on that as the goal. It's focused on quick results and aesthetics, and that's a mistake. Now, if you work out hard and you committed to it for a long time, you are going to see absolutely physical changes, but that shouldn't be the goal, and if that is the goal, you're going to be disappointed.
Planning your workout should be aimed at what you want your final product to look like.
The purpose of exercise is to be fit and be healthy. That's different. But if the purpose of the exercise is to shape your muscles and you know, have a good looking appearance, then it has to be quite strenuous exercise or a very strenuous activity.
Caulfield's book talks about how not eating junk food should be a norm, and frequent, vigorous, and challenging cardio workouts are the way to tone your body.
If you're getting beach body ready and you want to show your abs no matter what size you are, yeah, you got to get the cardio in there, and you got, well, I say diet's number one, cardio's number two. But yeah, cardio's got to be in there.
When hitting the gym looking to gain muscle mass, supplements, protein drinks, and other pills may be on your mind, but finding the right one, and if it's necessary, is important.
I use a protein supplement if you're not eating enough protein to get your muscle mass where you want it to be. I don't like the people that are using it to constantly replace all their meals. It's not healthy.
But any type of movement or exercise is healthy.
There's a lot of research that says any amount of activity is good for you.
Mike Baden, Newcap News.